Okay, so within the metric system, when you do conversions, you're just moving your decimal point based off of your exponent's powers of 10. So if you're going from a smaller unit to a larger one, you're going to move your decimal point to the left. So let's say, for example, we have, let's go with 25 milligrams, right? But we want to convert that to kilograms. So we're going to move it 6 places to the left. So if we have 25, right? Decimal starts here. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Add our zeros, and that's how many kilograms we have now. Right, so this is the chart that I give my 9th graders, but I'm happy to give it to you guys as well. So the reason I knew it was 6 places is because milligrams is here, kilograms is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, but technically this has an exponent of -3. This is +3, so from 3 to -3 is 6. So that's how many places you know to move it. And if we're going, I'm going to shrink that down now that we're kind of done with it. And this, just to give me some more room here. So if we're going from a larger unit to a smaller one, we're going to move our decimal point to the right. All right, so for this one, let's say we're going to do grams to centigrams. So let's say we have 0.5 grams. So to convert that to centigrams, we're going to go to the right 2 spaces. So we're going to, right, from grams to centigrams is 2. So we'll go 1, 2. So that would be 50 centigrams. All right, I'm also going to upload a copy. I'll put copies of all of these charts on this assignment. But I've got one with metric prefixes because we're going to use more than just these right here. But I've got another chart to give you for that. I'll upload this chart that I put right here. And then I have another one that's got English to metric conversion factors, which is what we're getting ready to talk about. Actually, before we talk about English to metric and so on, we need to talk about adding values, adding and subtracting values that have different units. So you can only add and subtract things if they're the same type of unit. So for example, I can't add length and time, but I can add 2 quantities that have length, but we need to make sure that their units are the same before we work with them. So if I wanted to add 300 meters and 1 kilometer, right? I can't do that yet. I have to convert them both to kilometers or both to meters. So it really doesn't matter. I'm going to go from meters to kilometers just because that's a little bit easier for me. So we're going to take our 300 meters, right? Decimals here. We're going from a smaller unit to a larger one. So we're going to move our point to the left 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. So this is the same as 0.3 kilometers and 1 kilometer. So then now we get 1.3. Right, so again, you have to have the same kind of unit to be able to add and subtract. But you can multiply and divide any types of units. So I can divide length by time, right? Because that's how we get things like miles per hour, meters per second, and things like that. So they don't have to match to multiply and divide, but they do need to be the same to add. But let's say we want to take something like 46.5 feet and we want to convert it to meters, right? So that's a little more complicated than just moving a decimal point. So these are, I call them, they're conversion problems. I call them fences. I know, I think Miss Koppler called them bridges if you've worked with them before. But we're going to set them up like this. So you always put your first unit, like what you start with, and you're going to put it over 1. And then you need to figure out what you're converting to. So you need what's called a conversion factor. So we need to figure out what we have to multiply or divide by to figure out how many feet are in a meter. So 1 meter is equal to 3.281 feet. So when you put this in your fence problem, right, your units need to be, the one you're trying to get rid of has to be diagonal. So since I have feet here, I need my feet on the bottom. And so we said 1 meter was 3.281 feet. Now, I'm not going to expect you to like memorize that. You'll have a chart that's got your conversions there for you. So you just need to know how to multiply them. And sometimes, right, if we're going from 2 very different units, we might have to multiply things a few times or divide them a few times. So the next, what we're going to do is we just multiply across. So we've got 46.5 over 3.281, right? So the feet cancel out, and then you just divide that out, and you get 14.2 meters. So that is a very short conversion problem, but there's several times where we're going to run into some that are longer and more complex. So let's look at an example for that. Let's say we want to go convert 65 miles per hour to meters per second. Right, so in this case, we've got to convert the miles to meters, and we have to go from hours to seconds. So to set that up, we're going to put 65 miles over 1 hour. So let's ignore the 1 hour for right now. Let's just worry about getting our miles to meters, right? So we don't, most charts don't have something that goes straight from miles to meters, but more than likely you'll have miles to kilometers, or you could go from miles to feet and feet to meters. Either one. So let's go from miles to feet. Right, so to do that, right, we need miles to be, so to get rid of miles on top, we have to have miles on the bottom. And then we said we need to go from miles to feet. So then looking at a conversion chart, or you may know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So we put our 5,280 feet in 1 mile. All right, and now we need to get rid of our feet and change that to meters. So we're going to have to put feet here, right, and we need meters on top. And we said, let's see. So we can do it lots of ways, right? We said before in our last example that 1 meter is 3.281 feet. You could also do 1 foot is however many meters. You can put that, it just depends on what number you're using. But either one of these is perfectly fine. So now we've got, so we got rid of miles, got rid of feet. Right, those numbers are still there. We're just crossing out the units. So we've got meters on top, which is what we need. Now we need to change our hours into seconds. So we've got an hour on the bottom, so we need hour on top. You can go from hours to minutes or minutes to seconds. Just to get the hang of this, let's go ahead and go from hours to minutes. Right, and we know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. And then to get rid of minutes, right, minutes has to go on top now to cancel it out here. And we got rid of our hours. And then we need seconds on the bottom, and we know that 1 minute is 60 seconds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply across. All right, so we're going to do 65 times 5,280 times 1, 1, and 1. So really we're multiplying these two. And then on the bottom, we will multiply, so we've got 1 and 1, and then we have 3.281 times 60 times 60. All right, so that gives us our 11,811.6. And then we divide those two numbers, and then we get our final answer is 29.06 meters per second. Okay? So I feel like you guys have done these at some point, maybe not with this particular method, but again, I will upload charts with the conversion factors for you. So it's got a lot of conversions on them, but we're mostly using the mass and length ones at the top. So don't worry too much about the other ones. I want you to try your best, work through the ones I assigned. If you need help, let me know, and we will also go over these in kind of our review video that I'll post tomorrow. Don't forget your reading quizzes tomorrow, so make sure you've got notes. I am going to ask that you upload your notes. That way I can see that you did them.